Welcome to the Bendano Podcast, where we're calling a spade a spade. Great to be here with you guys today. Finally, the Indiana Fever has taken the gag order off Caitlin Clark, and she is finally made available to speak to the media. She talks about Kathy Engelbert talking about her $16 million deals. She talks about Napheesa Collier and what she said, and she also speaks about her ankle injury. Full disclaimer, nobody in that room, not Scott Agnes, not Chloe Peterson, Malika Andrews, nobody in that room asked Stephanie White or Amber Cox, why did you guys not report the ankle injury when it first took place? Why are we waiting for 2 weeks to transpire? And then, oh yeah, she had an ankle injury. Very nasty, nasty work from the media covering the Indiana Fever. But before we get to that, Caitlin Clark speaking on Napheesa Collier and what she had to say the other day.
Wanted to see after Napheesa's comments and what she alleged that Kathy Engelbert had said specifically about you, what your thoughts were on that, and have a follow-up.
Well, I mean, first of all, I have great respect for Fee, and I think she made a lot of very valid points. And I think what people need to understand, we need great leadership in this time across all levels. This is straight up the most important moment in this league's history. Well, this league's been around for 25 plus years, and this is a moment we have to capitalize on. So that's honestly what I would say. I think there's, Fee said it all with what she said, and I think the points she made were very valid.
Had you heard that story from her before
No.
she said it publicly? And then have you spoken with Kathy Engelbert or heard from her at all since then?
No.
Kathy Engelbert doesn't reach out to clarify her statements, to clean up her statements. Caitlin, I didn't say that, Caitlin. She's making it up. I didn't say it. Kathy Engelbert, leadership is down across every professional league. Kathy Engelbert just happens to be the worst of the worst, the bottom of the barrel. She's terrible. But we've been saying that for 2 years now. Welcome to everybody jumping on board. Congratulations. She did not hear the statement that Fee said to her. I wouldn't think that she would. I wouldn't think Fee would say, hey, Caitlin, I'm going to say this. Do you want to proofread my work like she's back in middle school and getting it proofread by her teacher? I didn't think that was going to happen either. Fee had her statement that Alex Bezel wrote for her. Fee had her statement, and she was going to speak her mind. She was going to say whatever it was on the piece of paper. So I'm not too surprised that Kathy Engelbert didn't reach out either. If I would expect that from Kathy Engelbert, I'm giving her far too much credit, right? Caitlin Clark pretty much not going too much in detail, but saying, yeah, whatever Fee said, she's right. She's right on the money with that. Caitlin Clark also addressing the endorsements that Kathy Engelbert seemed to be dismissive of.
Hi, I just wanted to follow up on a question that Alexa asked about, what Fee said, the story involving you specifically, and your popularity as a player obviously skyrocketed when you were in college and you had a lot of NIL opportunities and stuff. So I guess when you heard that, what was your reaction? Because it came off a little dismissive to your own brand and your own individual brand power, I guess.
I think that's probably the way in which the league has probably changed over the course of the last few years. These kids and what they're making in college these days is pretty insane. It's honestly probably more than what I made. Obviously, a lot has changed even since I've graduated. So I'm not 100% up to date on the exact numbers of what college kids are making. But, obviously I was very fortunate after my freshman year of college. That's when I began working with, different brands and began working with Nike. And, everybody knows my first NIL deal was with Hy-Vee, the greatest grocery chain of all time, based in Des Moines, Iowa, baby. So best chocolate long johns around. But, I think that's the way in which, people, young women are coming into this league now with that type of, I don't even want to say it's money, but they're beginning to build their brands in college, and then they're bringing that to the WNBA. So I think that's just a way in which the league has changed and will continue to evolve. And like, back to my main point, you know, like I said, we are in the biggest moment in WNBA history. There's no denying that. Everybody knows that, and everybody that's in a place of power has a true responsibility, and even myself, we have a responsibility to make sure that this game is in a great place going forward with the CBA, and, you know, caring for our players, and, you know, building this league to make sure it's in a great spot for many years to come, because you all know I grew up as a huge fan of this league, and I'm going to do everything I can to make this the league that, you know, a 5-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 15-year-old, a girl in college is really proud of to come into, and to be able to put a WNBA uniform on, and, you know, that's what they dream of, and then hopefully they can accomplish that goal, because that's exactly who I was, and that's, you know, really at the end of the day, like, I hope that's what my legacy can be, is just how I impacted people to be able to maybe want to be in the WNBA, but to really just achieve whatever they want to achieve. Sorry, I went on a little bit of a tangent.
It's the biggest moment in the sport, and it's going to end in a lockout. Now, Caitlin, you're going to need to go up against your contemporaries here. What are you going to do to keep this league going forward past 2026? How are you going to prevent the lockout? Because from everything that I'm seeing, Fee wants a lockout, Breanna Stewart wants a lock. They want a lockout, or they want to be locked out based on what they're asking. Yes, now we're demanding Kathy Engelbert's gone. Great, Kathy Engelbert's gone. But now what happens when the next person steps in? Are they suddenly going to say, here, I'm stepping in. Adam Silver told me to give you guys whatever you want. Well, then, okay. Or is the new person going to step in and say, okay, I'm stepping in. I'm a new face. I'm a new brain. I'm a new spokesperson. I'm a new mouthpiece for this league. Some of these demands are a little crazy. How are we going to adjust that? And when Nafisa Collier and Breanna Stewart looks at that and brings it back and talks amongst the players with it, it's going to be up to you to say, hey, this league means a lot to me. We got to keep this afloat. I know you're only in your second year, going into your third year, but you have the most leverage in that room. You have the biggest brain in that room. You have the most leverage in that room. You're the only person the owners look at and see dollar signs in that room. You're the only person fans can see and say, oh, that's Caitlin Clark. Not, oh, that's that one girl. No, you're Caitlin Clark. So there is some questions about how are you going to push this forward. Got to use your cachet. Got to use your cachet in those negotiation rooms and talk to Fee, Breanna Stewart, Aneka Ogwumike, and all those ladies who seem to be geared up and ready to be locked out. Let's talk about Caitlin Clark's injury. She also addresses that as well. Again, nobody asked about why it took so long to Stephanie and Amber, why it took so long for them to report this ankle injury. Let's hear it.
Last couple of weeks is when I've probably started feeling my best. Obviously, my ankle kind of didn't allow me to really see where my groin was at. It was, I think, my second full court workout back when we were in, I don't even know what month that would have been, but I just went to kind of make a move, and unfortunately my ankle like completely rolled all the way forward, and probably one of the worst sprains I've dealt with. But you know, just tried to stay positive best I can, and but I honestly feel like I'm in a really good spot. And you know, people don't always realize, I mean, people that, you know, are kind of in the basketball world, or whether if you're in other sports too, like when you're injured, it's honestly more work than when you're playing. So, you know, I've spent so much time here in this building this season just trying to get healthy, and trying to kind of just get back to 100%. And honestly, I think that, you know, if I never was, you know, I obviously played that game in Connecticut, and that's where I kind of felt some more pain in my right groin, and then obviously had some tests and other things done. And you know, there was no decision of like, this is the end of my season. I had full intention of returning, and I think in a way that was probably positive for me, because that's how I approached every single day. I came in here like, I was going to play, I was going to get back out on the court, and it probably would have been even more devastating and crushing knowing that I was never going to be able to put my uniform back on for the rest of the season. But you know, you just approach it like every single day, you attack and get better, and it'll be the same for me going forward. Like, that work doesn't stop, and you know, I think I've had really good perspective on it all, and that's probably what I'm most proud of.
So does this confirm what Scott Agnes was saying about the ankle injuries, what's keeping her out? Does this confirm what Chloe Peterson was saying about her groin injury keeping her out? There's a lot of questions that I have, mostly directed towards Stephanie White and Amber and Kelly Krauskopf. Why wasn't she activated as part of the roster? So if you need her, you can use her. Why wasn't this ankle injury reported when it first happened? That would have been my immediate follow-up. Hey, Caitlin, did you report this ankle injury to anybody? Oh, yeah, I told Stephanie White. Okay. Any idea why Stephanie White didn't come out and say this to the media? And I would have asked Amber Cox the same thing before. I would have asked Stephanie White the same thing before. Hey, did Caitlin Clark report this ankle injury to you when it happened? Yeah, she did. Why didn't you guys disclose that? Why didn't you guys say that there's been a setback until fans are getting impatient? Hope Caitlin Clark gets healthy. I want to see her back next season. Very interesting how the Indiana Fever played out this whole entire season. A successful season once you take into account all the injuries that they've encountered. But from a fan, I want to see Caitlin Clark play. You know what I'm saying? I want to watch Caitlin Clark play. It is what it is. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like the video, subscribe. That would mean a lot to me. See you next time, and as always, take it easy.